Hey, what is up guys, you Chipsy, and today we are back for my week 9 game in the BBL, and this week we're going to be taking on Aaron2420, the commissioner of the BBL, or one of the commissioners at least. And my man Aaron has a crazy team. So I say this like every week about my opponents, but something about having Xerneas and Necro Dawn Wings, or whatever it's called, on the same team is very, very restricting when it comes to building. So this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I have just recently moved out into a really nice apartment with my girlfriend, so that's been a real big kind of priority when it comes to time. And this team was sort of rushed, but I feel like I've put together a good team. And I think this team can definitely clutch out the win here. So we're going to run over the team that I've brought this week. We do have a shift gear beginner with the Z, Fairy Z, really solid here. His kind of fairy resist is his Camerupt or his Skarmory, and I do have T-Bot for the Skarm, which is going to be really useful if that thing is his kind of counterplay to beginner. Then I have a Mega Latias here with Surf to be able to revenge stuff like his Camerupts and to be able to at least dent the T-Tar coming in. Recovering up on Camerupt is pretty important as well, because that thing is a real nuisance to my team if it's carrying rock coverage for Ho-Oh. Then I have a pretty standard defensive Pharaoh. I've got a Charty offensive Ho-Oh here, which can do a good amount of work versus his team. It's bulky enough to be able to check Necrozma. And you can obviously take on his Xerneas as well, barring a Rock Slide variant, but I do have the Charty Berry, so I will be able to live any hit from that and get some big damage off the Sacred Fire or the Brave Bird there. I do have EQ for the Tar as well as the Camerupt, so yeah, pretty nice offensive threat versus his team. Then I have my Finny here, pretty standard defensive utility Finny. Defog is really important for preserving Ho-Oh's health in this game and preventing him from stacking me with spikes from Skarmory and other forms of hazards like rocks. So the last one on the team we have here is my Landorus. I am a pretty bulky Stealth Rock Lando with Earthquake. Kind of just does a number on his team. Obviously he has the Skarmory, but I do have ways of getting around that with my team. So that is going to be the squad. We're going to jump into the match and see how it went. We are playing obviously on Showdown this week. Just again, time constraints just didn't work with me and Aaron. I'm just going to call him Aaron. I was pretty short for time, and so was he. I think he was also traveling or something, and he didn't have access to his DS, and it's just a lot easier for me to play on Showdown at the moment. So here we are. We're going to jump into it and see how it went. I'm going to lead off with my Lando, as he does choose to lead off with his Skarmory. Turn 1 I'm going to knock off, because if he's not carrying Whirlwind, this is going to be it's going to be really useful for me to wear him down without getting his passive lefties back. And if this was some sort of lead Skarm, like he could definitely be lead Skarm, like lead cost step Skarm with just like setup or like offense spam in the back. This could be like offensive Coon, and then like Trick Room support for Camerupt. I wanted to knock off the Cust Stap, which would ensure that I would be able to defog reliably on it with Finny, as he does reveal to take like max HP damage from that. He's probably Spadef based on the fact that he's lefties and that he took the amount he did. So I'm now going to hard switch into my Finny, as he actually makes a switch. No, he roosts up here, sorry. He's going to roost up, get back up to full. So he's got his Sturdy back, which is definitely nice for him. As this turn I am going to just defog, and he's going to bring in his Xerneas here, and this thing is a threat. So for those of you guys who may not have played Ubers, Xerneas is a real powerhouse. It's not allowed to use Geomancy in this league, which obviously is kind of a fair balancing restriction, I think. But even without that, Fairy Aura buffing, it's giving it kind of specs on Fairy attacks is just insane. Like, it hits base 131 special attack at its base stat, and then it gets Fairy Aura on top of that. It's bulky enough to comfortably run Modest in a lot of matchups, and it hits a really nice speed tier that allows it to creep a lot of offensive mons too. So it's an incredible mon. I think it is really underrated in the Ubers format. And it's definitely a nuisance versus my team. But of course I do have Pharaoh, Megina, and Ho-Oh, so in theory I have really nice counterplay to it. But you're going to see Aaron's actually brought a really nice set here that can sort of capitalize on my defensive answers to it. So I'm going to go hard out into Ho as opposed to going Pharaoh. It covers him being like Specs Focus Blast or Specs Hidden Power Fire, which he could be, because Specs is really difficult for me to switch into, and if I mispredict, like if I go Pharaoh expecting Specs Moonblast or something and he clicks Hidden Power Fire, then he just roasts Pharaoh. So I'm going to go into Ho, covered really anything he could go for there, as he does click Sub. And this is interesting, he's Sub and he's now going to reveal Lefties. So he's Sub Lefties and he's going to reveal Rock Slide, so he's going to have Moonblast and Hidden Power 5 for sure, that tells me. We do pop our Chardy Bear here, but unfortunately he is going to flinch us, which is going to mean we cannot break his Sub. And based on that roll with Chardy Berry, he has a great chance to take me out here with another Rock Slide. So that is really unfortunate. Would have loved to have broken that Sub, because we can then switch, like go Lando, get the Intimidate drop off for example, and then switch back into Ho and take this thing on pretty comfortably. But because now he does have his Sub up, this is going to be a little bit difficult to play around, and ultimately I'm going to have to end up probably sacking him on to this Xerneas. So I'm going to go hard into my Pharaoh as he does just click Rock Slide again. Now this turn I'm going to go hard back into my Ho, expecting him to go for the Hidden Power Fire here. He really doesn't lose much by it, as his Sub will still be intact. And I am just going to click Brave Bird this turn, as I am out of range to die to a Rock Slide. So you saw that was a neutral Rock Slide. It would have did 70%. So with the Intimidate drop, he would have done around half, maybe a little bit less. So my Ho would have been able to just kind of roost all that Xern, and or at least use it to pivot in on Moonblast and then switch back out into Lando, etc. So I'm going to now go back out into my Pharaoh, I believe. No, I got into my Lando here to get the Intimidate drop, as he does just go for the Sub here. So this turn I can go back out into my Ho if I want to, but I just choose to go for the EQ because me going Ho there to get the regen is such an obvious play. I feel like if he clicked Rock Slide there and I lost my Ho, I'd be in a much worse position. And just by going for EQ there, I was guaranteed to live any hit. And at worst, I took a Moonblast and I broke his Sub, so I kind of gained more out of that play than risking my Ho there. So this turn I'm just going to stay in here and EQ again on the off chance that he does Sub, expecting me to make the switch out into Ho or something like that. But he just stays in and takes out my Lando. So I'm going to go back into Ho to get my regen and go back out into Pharaoh, as he does just Sub up, fair play on his part. And now I am just going to click Bullet Seed, as he does reveal the Hidden Power Fire, and that does a ton. So yeah, this thing is really offensive. And its coverage is just really putting me in a tough spot defensively. Mainly because I did miss that first, because I did get flinched by that first Rock Slide and I wasn't able to break his Sub and go Lando the following turn. It's really put me in a bit of a tricky spot and is forcing me to make these pivots. So I'm going to go back into Ho here on his Hidden Power Fire, as this is going to be really nice for us. I'm going to be able to click Sacred Fire here, and chances are I'm going to get the burn 50% of the time, but he is going to flinch me yet again. And this one here was really frustrating. So I'm going to go back out into my Mage as he does click Rock Slide again. Now here I don't think he should risk his Xern. Xern is really nice versus me. It's pretty much established that it's a great tool versus my team. I have a really tough time dealing with it now that Ho is so weak, and I haven't been able to get any sort of damage off on this. So I don't really think he should stay in here. I think Z Fairy takes it out because of Fairy Aura boosting my stab as well. And if I am Flash Cannon, it's going to deal a huge amount. If I'm Z Flash Cannon, I just OHKO it. I think it's more in his best interest to go into his Scum or his Camera Up, but he actually stays in here and clicks Hidden Power Fire. Regardless, I am always going to shift gear up here, as I will be able to Z the following turn and take out this Xern, as Aaron chooses to sack off his Xerneas here. So that's one of his biggest threats down, as I can just go for the T-Bot on Scum, can potentially get the full para and prevent him from whirlwinding me out, but he does reveal it there, and this is going to bring me back out into my laddie. So I'm going to choose to go Ho here, and that is because I want that regen. And if he does go for Rocks, I want to get Ho in before Rocks, get that regen, then switch back out into Finny if I can. But he is going to just get up his Rocks here, which is going to mean that I am going to have to try and get the Defog off with Finny, as he does just click Whirlwind, and he brings back in my Ho. So I'm going to roost up, get back up to a nice amount, and even though he has whirlwinded me out, if I can defog those rocks away, Ho will be back at full, and that's going to be really important for taking on his Necrozma, which is now looking like the biggest threat to my team. So he's now going to go back out into his Camera Up tier, as I'm just going to go into Laddie, and he's going to fire off the Fire Blast, and this does a ton. This thing is strong. It does 33%, so I'm pretty bulky on my laddie, so we take that pretty nicely, but it's still, that's the resisted hit doing 33%, so I'm going to mega up here and click surf. Could have click recover there, but chances are he was going to be running a nature power to be able to kill my laddie in the missy terrain. And even if he switched hard into T-Tar there, getting 2 surfs off puts that thing in range, or at least 1 surf off puts him in range of Ho-Oh's EQ, so it was kind of a better play overall for me there, as he does just sack off Camel. So at this point, McGinn is looking really clean, really clean. If I can get a shift gear up on either his Suicune or his Tyranitar, if it's choice locked into a stab move, I will be able to take on his team really nicely with Mage. But he's now going to go out into his Necrozma here, and I am just going to reveal that I have Shadow Ball. And because of Prism Armor, we aren't able to take him out there, as he is going to get the Autonomize up, and I kind of have to let Laddie die here. I can't afford him being Moonlight or Calm Mind here and abusing like a greedy switch on my part there. So I'm going to bring out my Finny here, and I am just going to click Defog as opposed to attacking. This thing is so bulky as well, so like Moonblast was never killing, nor was Scald or anything like that, so my better play was defogging, removing the rocks for Ho-Oh, allowing Ho-Oh to live like a Stone Edge or something, if he did run that, and if he was like a negative attack nature. But I don't really think he's going to be running Stone Edge on this thing. I think it's more than likely he's going to be like Moonlight or Calm Mind or something in this set, so I am just going to click Moonblast this turn, as he does just go for the Calm Mind. And the following turn he is going to take me out with the Moongeist Beam. Had he gone to plus 3 there, I actually lived to hit with Ho-Oh, so Ho-Oh is that bulky, it's pretty insane on the Spit F side, and we are going to take him out here with the Brave Bird. So that's one of his 2 big threats down, and now it just comes down to Suicune and Pharaoh and my Megina. My Pharaoh should be able to take on this Coon if it's like Vine Coon or something like that, so I'm going to go out to that here, as he does reveal the Calm Mind on this set. And now he's going to go for the Hidden Power Fire, so he's actually an offensive, more likely an offensive or just a like defensive Coon with coverage. I am going to go for the Brave Bird here, and he is going to miss Hydro, so that is some, I guess you could say that's some justice for the first flinch with his Rock Slide on Xern, and he's going to miss another Hydro, so I guess that makes up for the second flinch on Xern. So this was an incredibly haxy game, very frustrating for Aaron there, I'm sure, and yeah, definitely frustrating earlier in the game on those Rock Slide flinches. Kind of unfortunate because this was, I think Aaron is 2nd in the league so far, behind me. I'm pretty sure he's got the best record in the league. He's doing really well, so would have loved a clean one versus him, but McGinn is going to come in and finish off the game. I guess like an upside to this is that it kind of balanced out on both sides, though statistically, like, you're more likely to get flinched by Rock Slide than you are to miss 2 Hydros and get crit by Brave Bird. So I think he definitely got the short end of the stick in that end game. But certainly, like, I don't want to underplay the importance of those Rock Slide flinches. They definitely forced me to play differently with Ho-Oh and Lando, essentially sacking off Lando to take on the Xern, because at -1 Xern was going to have a really tough time breaking my Ho-Oh there. So definitely an unfortunate one, but for Aaron at the end. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get to face again in the playoffs, and hopefully we can have a clean one. But that does bring us up to 9-0. We do face Bird in our last week of the regular season next week, or this coming week, whatever. And yeah, then playoffs are going to be happening from there. When playoffs roll around, I'll more than likely be doing team builders. I know a lot of you guys are keen to kind of see the way I make my teams for this league. So when that rolls around, I will be doing team builders, and hopefully by then things will be a bit more settled. I have more of a routine in place, but definitely look forward to that, and go and check out Aaron's side of the match. Go check out his perspective on this game, and yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.